All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is Wednesday, August the 10th, 2016, and the title of tonight's webinar is 5 Safe Trades with Viper Tools, Made Even Better with Power Meter, and this is part 3 of a series that I'm doing. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading rooms, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we might have, our live trading room, or anything else should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we are going to get started. Mindy says, totally get identified swings now, but still not sure about what the ABC means and what to do with it. Okay, I'll talk about that a little bit here in just a little bit. Mindy, remind me of that in, say, 15 minutes or so, and I'll be sure to put that in. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start this webinar. We've already got the standard disclaimer out of the way, and I'm going to start it about like I do a lot of times with my little black chart here with swings on it. All right. Now, one thing I want to go over tonight, and trading can be safer than a lot of people think. Okay. Trading is always about the swings. Okay. Always about the swings. That's safe trading. And the 5 trades that I've been talking about for the last, well, this is the 3rd webinar on this, is to trade with the trend using predictor. We talked about that one. KISS trades. And tonight we're going to talk about mid-band trades, phantom trades, and small breakout boxes. Okay? But first, when you get on your chart every single day, and there's new people in the room, so I have to always, bring this up because we have new people coming in, trials, members, and all that. So we have to go over this, obviously. But if you were looking at this chart, even with this having prices on it, wouldn't you think that with you have a high here, I just don't even show it to the left here. I just want to show you, even what I see overnight here, you can still see that this is what kind of a trend. And if anybody misses it, I'll explain until we get them to get it. Okay, several coming in. Any of you think it's anything other than what kind of trend is it? I won't tell you yet. What kind of trend is it? Sure, it's up, isn't it? Yeah, there's quite a few coming in now. Up, and nobody missed it, so we won't have to dwell on that, will we? Let me just draw the lightning 3 swings, and you can pretty much see that it's an uptrend, can't you? Okay, now let's take this off for just a minute. Okay, and on the chart here, every single time you trade, you're going to be looking at this type of situation, just not as clean. Okay, and this is going to get into this mid-band trades and phantom trades here in just a minute too, because to give you an example, okay, if you were to decide to take a breakout trade, okay, let's just say that over here none of this has happened yet, and you happen to draw your little line across here, okay, and let's say that this little trade broke out. Let's just go over here like this. Let's just say it broke out. Now, obviously, where would you put your stop on this trade? Well, at the moment, you would put your stop right underneath there, right? And then if it didn't take that out and it finally takes this out, right across here, then obviously your stop would be here. And there's no better way to explain that than to use the lightning swings for your stops. Then comes the question, of course, is which lightning swings do you use? And it depends on how long you want to stay in a trade. Okay, but always remember that when you get in little breakout trades, to give an example, you may break out, say for instance, right across here, on this little breakout, and then it comes all the way back in and tests your faith a little bit, and then pops right up. Okay, but you have to go to that previous swing. It's super important, and that's why we've designed our scripts to see all this in real time. Okay. Anybody not seeing that at this moment? Looks like a lot of veterans in here tonight, but I've got a few people it looks like that are fairly new too. Okay. Because this is really, really important when it comes to trading. And you've also got to be able to see, what the overall trend actually is. If you walk into your trading room and you see something, well, like this even, see, that's pretty much a downtrend, isn't it? Right? I mean, you're pretty much heading down. But then look over here to the right and you see, well, you know what? They're actually taking out my swings. See, I've got a high, a low, high, higher low. So, that's obviously in an uptrend. So here at Viper Trading Systems, we give you some other indicators that'll keep you on the right side of the trade. And that is that script called the VIP Dynamic Trend. The VIP Dynamic Trend is a really good tool that gives you the mid band. It gives you the bands down below and then the bands above. And it's really important to watch that in relation to where pricing is and things, and also the predictor. Okay, now what I'm going to do here real quick, I'm going to show you, bear with me a second, I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff on here. Now I think everybody, before I get rid of any of this, you pretty clearly know, I think everybody in this room, that this is obviously an uptrend. It's like stepping up a set of stairs. You're stepping to one, stepping to two, stepping to three. And each time they build a little level, they hold support. It's the simplest thing in trading that there is support and resistance. And of course, this is a downtrend. You're stepping down, lower high, lower low, right? Lower low, lower high, lower low. So that's a downtrend. And that's real easy to see. But you wouldn't believe how many people in real time can't discern that a lot of times, and they'll get on the wrong side of the trade. Now on Saturday, I taught how to do some counter trend trading. We're not going to talk about counter trend trades tonight as much. Okay, we're going to talk about trend trading, safe trading. Okay, last Saturday wasn't as much safe trading as aggressive trading. Okay, aggressive trading, you can make more trades, you can make more money, but you got to also admit you're going to have a few more losers too. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to this same chart, but I'm going to get rid of everything on here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all the drawing tools. All right, and I'm going to add one more indicator on here that's called the VIP Dynamic Trend, and that's in everybody's package right here. Okay, now the way I keep mine personally, and by the way, you might not have this where it shows 3 and 48 on yours, I'm not sure. You could check yours and see. That's not really that important. The ZT, which is the zone, is 48 ticks. I think it's pretty easy. You can count it yourself. We're not trying to hide anything. Okay, but I always keep mine on line 2, red. Line 4 is obviously going to be changing colors because that's your midband, and then line 6 is green. And I put everything else transparent because I like to see my charts nice and clean. All right, let's go ahead and put it on. And we'll get rid of the predictor for right now. Now, this is a beautiful tool to be using because you'll be able to tell, especially with our lightning swings, our predictors, and of course this dynamic trend here, what direction your trend is really going. Okay? Now, you'll notice when this actually turns to this green color from being red, that you've really started changing trends. Now, when I look at this particular chart based on what I call my lightning 3, I see that they pretty much have to take out this line right across here to ever be changing to a long trend. Now, if you look at a different trend, which is your shorter trend, you might have even changed down in here somewhere. Okay, that's the difference in these 4 trends. Okay, but you can clearly see with our midband changing that, you're obviously looking for a midband type trade, right? That's what we talk about all the time. You have to take out, to really truly change the trend, and then you look for that first pullback. Okay, now midband trades, I want to tell you just a little bit about them. Bear with me a second. Gary, do you keep a chart like this open, or is it just for the webinar? Well, Doug, on your question, I can see these things, even on a faster chart and everything, I've trained my mind to do that. But so I don't really have it, always. Now I do open my room in the morning before I get my chart set up. I do go ahead and pull up a webinar type chart for my oil, look at it real quick without all the noise on the chart. But during the morning where it's a little more fast and furious, I don't really open one up. I've got basically 3 monitors. You're seeing the one in the room. We've got one for the question log and the GoToWebinar little control panel. And then I've got 2 other monitors for my trading charts. So as a rule, no, I don't usually pull this one up, but I do pull it up in the morning first thing lots of days to see, to clear my mind of where the trend really is. But you're going to be able to tell quite a bit where the trend is with this midband. Because if you walked in the room like this right here, and let's say that this was the end of the chart, well, it's obviously pretty clear that you're in a downtrend, right? But if you get up and let's say that it's changed to the little rose color and it pops up green, I like for it to kind of take out that little jog that it made its last little gasp down to see if it's really going up, okay, something like that usually. But what you're looking for is you're looking for a thrust and then a pullback, okay? Now midband trades, your safest trade on midband on a long is for it to break, be above midband and come back and kiss midband or lower. Okay, so in other words, your price should be at least here at midband or even a tad lower, okay, because that's your safest trade. Now, since we added predictor to the mix, though, I trust a lot of these trades that come down close to midband, but remember, when you can still see a swing to the left, you got these other swings that'll be in here too, so you just kind of scalp them in the middle here until they take out these highs and, make you some more, another thrust and retrace. Okay. Let's see, did I pull back to midband reject? Ed, on your question, yeah, well, what the deal is too, you've also got to look at, for instance, where was price down here? Where was price up here? And I always do this too, and sometimes you can do it in your mind, but sometimes you have to draw it. But midband came in at 38% on this one right here, just a little above it. See there? And I wouldn't expect them usually on this short of a move to go any lower, so I usually draw a second line if I'm just using fibs. Okay, now if I'm using my swings, I may draw it a little different because I'll see the swings exactly like they are. Okay, but keep in mind that your least safe trade when you get a nice thrust up like this is only a pullback to say 23%. Because then obviously you're going to have to box it in and you've only got to here to go to begin with. When you get to midband, you've got basically, 18 to 24 ticks of profit potential, because naturally it's coming back to the means, where it's basically this is overbought, so to speak, and this is coming back more to where it needs to be, and then they pop it up again. Okay. Now we'll go to a real chart in just a second, but this is a real chart. It's actually got prices on it, just like I always teach, but you just can't see them. But I love these lightning swings and everything on these charts. It really helps out a lot. And if you put the predictor on, you'll see that you had a bounce right in through here. And let's say, for instance, you had done your 38%. Look where it actually bounced, just a couple of ticks above that 38%. Then you think, well, did I draw my my fibs right? Well, it looks right on the money to me. So they just missed the 38%, didn't they? Okay, and that's going to happen, and you got to be ready for that. And for instance, if you box in and things like that, you might miss, getting the meat of the trade, so to speak. Okay, which is pretty important. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go to a full chart. Okay, and let's see, do I ever use the auto fib indicator? Kenneth, I don't really as much. We developed it for everyone, but in the room it's a little too noisy. I do like it, Let me show everybody that real quick since Kenneth brought that up, because this is a pretty good little fib indicator. I won't use it in the room, probably simply because it's going to be a little too noisy. But it's called Object Trader Fibs, okay? And you just simply put it on your chart. And if the way you do on this, see, you can actually move your chart and it auto fibs it. Okay, so in other words, if let's say that I walked in the room and I saw this and this was my high and it had come down a little bit, but I hadn't quite come down to my, 38% yet, for instance, maybe it will, but I use my predictors also. Now, this would have been a very good trade right here to begin with, and you probably want to get in on this trade pretty much when it comes just within a couple of ticks of that 38%. Oh, bear with me a second. I thought I punched that, but it didn't unpause. Bear with me a second. You should be able to see it now. Sorry about that. Okay, still black chart. We don't need that. But everybody see what I'm talking about? Let me go over this again. The auto fibs, what it does is when you move the chart around, it actually goes auto from top to bottom. Okay, if I move this, for instance, to say up here, see this top and this bottom, this is pretty much telling me that 50% on this retrace is right here, and 38% would be, let's see here, depends on how you do it from top to bottom, of course, right? So basically, what I usually do is I just, if I use it, and a lot of times I just use this one, but you just want to draw your swings so that you can see where your 38 and your 50 is. Because believe me, most runs on longer shots like this is like a 60 tick move, will pull back to 38 to 50% as a rule. And your shorter little jaunts up will usually do 61. And that's not every single time. But like I say, the beauty of this little indicator is that you can have it do, any way you want it to do. For instance, this has got this nice short from 91 to 27. So you look at it and you see, well, where's my 50%? Where's my 38%? And you look to the left and see swings even. So it does help. And then see that kept going on down. So then you look at your 38% because it's fluid, it moves. Okay. And an auto fib like this is really good because it'll let you, see right where you're at on the highs and the lows and your fib retracements. Okay, I'll go ahead and take that off because I don't want this to be too noisy. Okay, let's go back over here. Now, what if you walked in to your trading room and you saw this has already happened? You missed this. You weren't up at 6:30, okay? And you missed this move. Are you the type that just goes ahead and just jumps in? Because if you do, a lot of times they'll pull back on you and they'll take your money from you. You've got to wait for those retracements. We'll go ahead and put Object Trader on here so we can at least trade it. All right. Now, what I personally like to do is I like to wait for a predictor to show up or a mid-band trade. Okay. Let's do this in real time and see if we can come up with something. I showed when we opened the room this morning where we actually saw this predictor show up beautifully at mid-band. And, if you missed it, you still got you a monster run because I called a trade when we opened the room on the band. And it worked out nice. But what if you're the type that goes, you know what, I'm going to buy that. Gosh, that's just moving up, moving up, moving up. What did I just do? I just cost myself probably $360. You don't want to do that, okay? Because what did this do? It took out the top by a little bit, and you rushed in and you thought, wow, this thing's going to the moon. And watch, I'm going to purposely do this to show you what not to do. Okay, see there? That hurts, doesn't it? That absolutely hurts. So now you're down $360 for the morning. And what if that was your goal of your maximum loss? You'd be down for the day and you'd have to walk away, right? But now, what if instead you were looking for this trade right down here around mid-band, okay? instead of this, because you don't want to get on the wrong side. Now, if you've got like a, $100,000 account or more or whatever, that $360 is no big deal. Okay. But it could be if it turns into, 1,000 or something like that. So don't go chasing trades like that. Okay. Wait for these pullbacks that happen all the time, and they'll come into these mid-band areas. Now, what I would be looking for on this trade in real time would be, okay, I've got a high here, I've got a low here, which is the same here, and I've got a higher high. So this ratcheted up. So what does that tell you as a trader that you want to do? Well, for one thing, you want a higher low again, right? And mid-band, or even around this predictor, would be a higher low. You don't want to take this out, okay? This is your medium swing. We talk about this all the time in the room. This medium swing is pretty important. Now, does it mean that it can't take it out and still bounce off a phantom? No. But you could also be ready to short it if it did too, couldn't you? Okay? So don't get into this deal right here where you risk. What if I'd done 6 contracts there? That would be down $720, right? So don't do that. That's something that you want to really, really stay away from. Now, to be fair on this, we don't take trades like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that little trade there because I wanted to show you what it would look like. And I'll just simply reset my replay 101. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put Object Trader back on. And we'll take the trade the way we teach instead. Okay, now what I do when I'm looking at something like this and seeing it in real time, I'd be looking like this. Okay, I've got resistance right up here. I've got resistance even right here if this happens to pull down below the line, right? And I'd be drawing on my chart. I've got a little predictor right here. I'm already below that line. So I know that I'm going to trigger a trade between these 2 lines. Because what's the rule of thumb? Well, if you've got a high and a low and a higher high, that's your lightning swing. Okay? Now, it won't draw right now. Let me show you. It won't draw. And the reason it won't draw, let me draw it from here, is because it hasn't had another number. But this still tells you that this low right here, with all this action with these prices, is still like a medium swing, especially when they get to these yellow bars. Okay, so let's get ready to take the actual trade, and then I'll show you the trade also that was called in the room too. And yes, and we will talk about the ABC also. The one thing about an ABC that you want to look at, matter of fact, let me just show you a little bit here. As a rule, an ABC is going to be like an A, a B, and a C, and it should take out the little low by like a wick. That would be a true ABC. Okay? If you don't get the ABC, then you've got to pretty much buy it as it bounces off support. Because also the rule of thumb is that you want a higher low if you want a higher high, right? But a true ABC, what I'd like to be looking for would be this, where it would come back up. That looks like about a 61%, by the way. And then it would actually go down a little bit lower. That would be a true ABC. See there, A, B, and then C. C always has to take out A, okay, because that's A, B, and C. And then you buy if it's hitting your other criteria, obviously. And you can box in and things like that too. Keep in mind, though, when you box, you got to always look to the left to trade the right, and you want to make sure you can get in as quick as you possibly can because obviously, the more you box, the more you're going to end up losing on the trade, very possibly, if they don't happen to go up as high as you want. What happens if there's a higher low and a lower high? Chai, on your question, well, you're talking about if there was a higher low, like for instance, right here, well, this was a higher low right here. See your A, B, it's a little higher, not much. It looks like a tick. Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean there? But usually what I would do, you know, I wasn't up at 6:30, but this little trade right here to me would have triggered right here on that bar. It came right down to predictor. It bounced. You got to put your stop underneath here if you want a runner. So you get a little scalp, doesn't take out your runner, and off she goes. And then, of course, you could get out when it took out your lightning swing. Your lightning swing is right here, like so. See it? High, low, higher, high. That's your identified swing. So in a case like that, let's say that if you would have taken this, you would have gotten a scalp, held your runner, runner comes up and double tops, gets a nice little support here at this line, and pops up again, but your stop's right underneath here. Now, I personally like to use identified lightning swings rather than mid-band for an out, because to me on oil, if you wait from 76, let's say that you had a high of 76, obviously, right? Well, if you wait till it takes out mid-band, and then you think, well, I've got a swing here, I'll just keep it until it takes out 49. Well, then you've given up from 76 all the way to, 40, say 45 even. To me, that's not smart trading. Lightning swings always do in these four trends. And these three right here are the most important of those swings. This one, not as much. This is kind of telling you what the overall trend is. Okay, that's your big trend. These right here are your most important. Now, to me, if you take your coin off the table here and say you get back in somewhere down here, well, you've actually more than likely got a pretty decent trade again. So technically you'd have one trade and a second trade. Okay? Because remember the rule of thumb, if you can draw the lightning swings, you can't take them out, right? I mean, if we're drawing just like this, where would my stop be on this trade? If I say I got in down here, it doesn't matter where I got in. I've got to put my stop somewhere, and my stop would be under there. See the swing? And then if it did this, and then it did this, where would my stop be? Again, well, it's barely taking that out, but I'd probably bring it just a little under here. Maybe a close of this, since it didn't take out this high. Once it takes out this high over here like that, I'd bring my stop like that, with exit on close usually. Okay, let's see. So are you looking at lightning 2, not 3 to trade? Well, Pervez, on your question, you're looking at lightning 1 and 2 basically in a trend. See, this power meter is saying you're long, okay? Your power meter 3, and so you're looking for a pullback, okay? Now, I personally like to draw on my charts. I think everybody in here knows, that we draw on our charts continually, okay? Let me get rid of lightning real quick. Is your blue and yellow lightning 2 or 1? Let me show you which one's which. Just one sec. Okay. We've got a template on the website, but I always use lightning 1 with this blue and gold. That's my trend line colors, blue and gold. And then I use lightning 2 with like a dark green and a purple. And lightning 3, I always use with the green and yellow. And lightning 4, I always use with the navy and white. Okay, so if you see, for instance, that I draw, well, one thing about the lightning 3, it's always going to draw with the swings because you're looking at these numbers. Because, see, you can put numbers on any of the lightnings. We don't purposely, because if you put numbers on this one here, you'd have numbers all over this chart. You'd be so confused you wouldn't know how to trade. So we just leave those transparent. See there? But when you go to lightning 3, you'll notice that it does have the color dot, and that gives you your text for your price and your low dot, which is yellow. So you don't technically even need to use it, because I can tell you this is the high, this is a low here, this is a high here, this is a low here, and you don't have another one yet. And if you draw it, you'll see it. See, like that. That's what it's doing. Okay? So you don't really need to draw it as far as that goes, but it's kind of nice if you don't see it to draw it. The power meter that's important for scalping would be the power meter 1. You know, for instance, if you were to have scalped this little trade right here, I don't usually recommend when it takes out a swing this far down to do it. I'd probably do it more on a little tighter consolidation. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah, something like this even up here you could box in, and if it took out this bar here. But you're talking about counter trend like we talked on Saturday. Well, if you waited for lightning 1 to change on this chart, you wouldn't have changed till right in through there. So if you had it for touch, would you get 5 ticks? Well, let's find out. But we're not going to talk as much counter trend. Let's say that you got filled at, I don't know, 60 or 59. Let's see if we can get to 54. There you go. You got it. So that's a 5-tick trade. Okay? So not a bad little trade. Now, does anybody see a trade right before our eyes, just right where we drew it on the chart? Because remember, this is your medium swing. Okay? If it doesn't take out this line I've got drawn here, then it's not breaking back down. Okay? So I expect a higher low if I'm going to continue getting higher lows and higher highs on this. Okay? Or at least just checking this swing. Now they do that a lot where they'll just come down, miss it by a tick. So what I like to personally do, again, is look at my predictor. You haven't had a bar turn back up yet. I look at my mid band. That would be a higher low, right, than here. So anywhere between these two right here would be my personal choice of pick. And then I like to look at the fib and see where it actually is on the chart. And see 38% is right here under mid band, okay? And you can put your line there, and you put your line at mid band here. And I'd be ready to take this trade pretty quick even right now, because this may not come down to mid band, okay? And if it doesn't come down to mid band, or you just stand there like a deer in the headlights and let the trade go away from you. And you don't want to do that. Okay, so let's see if we get this trade. Go ahead and put Object Trader on. Bar close long, and see if we can get it. Now this is a pretty simple trade, because if this was to break up, there I'm in it, okay? Now, where would I put my stop logistically on this chart? Well, I've already said they can't break this, so I would at least bring it up to here and put it on exit on close, okay? Because I don't want them to break this because I need a higher low. Now I might lag it back, say 2 ticks, something like that. So you're right on the swing. Here's your swing right here. That looks pretty good to me if you put it right there at that dot and bring it down maybe just a tad lower, about right there. And see, that's only 11 ticks. Well, that's almost 12 ticks to begin with, so that's no big deal. Okay? Now, does everybody remember this morning when we got all the way up to here, but yet we still drew a little bandito? And what did they do? They blew right up through it, which was a pretty good trade. Yeah, bar close long is a good way to do that. Now, let me show you another way to do it too, though. Let me just kill this trade. Hopefully we don't. I'm going to kill this and show you the conservative way to get into it. You're seeing resistance right across here. See it right there? See that resistance right there? So you can put the box right here. Keep in mind, though, that I'm probably going to have to put my stop even under here or even under here. But let's go ahead and do it that way, too. Let's just do a sniper. And we'll do a close above. Now, that's a little safer way, but it's also, in my personal opinion, a little bit harder way, because a lot of times you got to put a, well, if you got in here, you're already in the trade. This could close right up here and not fire till up in here. See, now this is where I don't like this particular trade. If this goes ahead and goes down and then closes up, we'll be A-okay. But see where that closed right on the line? That's not going to fire my trade till right up in here. And I don't like that. So usually as a rule, what I do, touch. Because if that goes like 2 ticks above that line, it'll fire. And see, you can do that dynamically even while it's not in the trade yet. See, I changed it from close to touch. So all that has to do, there you go, just got your touch. All right, quickly move your first target out of the way so they don't just snag it right away. And then I usually look at my charts, look to the left to trade the right. Get this one out of the way. We'll go ahead and try to go all the way up here, but we'll use what? Well, we use our stop like we always teach. Now, if you want, I'll go ahead and show you. I don't know if everybody in this room has seen the trail stops on Object Trader as of yet. You can actually get your targets totally out of the way if you want and use the trail stops. All right, I like to use trail 2 when I use it, and you hit the space bar. Got to be in the chart first. Hit your space bar. Okay, now this is red right here, so you don't turn on trail stop or it'll kill your trade right away. So we've got to get that where it's not red. We'll do a 3 or even a 5. Let's see. Now that's blue right now, okay? So I could go ahead and set my trail stop by simply hitting trail enabled, engage trail, and my stop will go up there. Now as soon as this gets a little bit of oomph to it, I can go ahead and change my trail stop to a little tighter. I'll show you how to do this in real time if you want. Now I personally don't use this as much because I do a zigzag stop. I go by the old adage that if it's a long trend on my power meter 1 or 2, it's going to be higher lows and higher highs. When it quits doing that, for lack of better terms, it ain't an uptrend on that particular one anymore, right? That's the whole thing. Okay. Now watch how this will actually draw. If this takes out some highs and everything, this will actually step my trail stop up automatically. Let's see if a 4 will stay in blue now. Nope, still not. Now, how many of you like this particular setup right here? I see this little swing that they haven't checked just yet. If you're not in the trade just yet, I would jump in the trade right there. And see our little box drawing right here? Remember in the room? We actually took this trade, turned on our bar close, and now we're in 6. That's quite a bit. And watch our trail stop. I'll go ahead and get these out of the way and just show you the trail stop, how it'll work. See how the trail stop jumped up? Now we can put it in a 4. See your 4 now? Engage it. See how it jumps right to the dot? As this heads up, these dots will move up with it. And like I say, I don't use this particular one, you know, because in the room, as a rule, I'm trying to call those trades and everything, and I'm watching lightning. Now, you do have a lightning trail also. See where your lightning is right now? This would be your trail. You can engage it. See, it's the bottom one, though, because it's looking at this swing. I like this one the best. See how it pops right into it when you engage it? It's a pretty cool little indicator. We don't talk about it as much, but it is a good indicator. Why did you take long when power meter is red? Power meter was, well, Chai, on your question, if you wait for the power meter to change, I use the power meter more to just simply let me know when the retracement's happening. But we draw the lines on the chart of where to get in. Now, you can wait. If you would have waited, you probably wouldn't have gotten this trade till, I would say, when it broke this swing right here, right? Which was still a good entry, but it was all the way at the top, too. And by the way, you can change this at any time dynamically. I can change that to a 3 and then engage it, and that'll be my stop. I can leave it on exit on close. I can move it manually. I can do anything with it that I want. Correct, David, on your question. I like to look at power meter as my trend, and I look at power meter 1 and 2 as retracements. But you can also add, when they break the power meters and things like that. Now this one probably will get us. I don't usually go quite that there because it could come down to here real easily. See how it popped right up there? I'm going to put that on a 4 and engage it again. Like I say, this is a pretty cool way to trade. I personally like to draw on my charts, in my mind at least, draw your little swings, and you'll see that your swing's going to be under here to begin with. So see, that'd be a little better stop, but see, it jumped up there just then. Let's see, just a second. Diane says, Gary, is there a chance you can have the trailing stop fixed so that if you take a long at support and a short trail is above you, that it won't take you out? I could actually talk to my programmer on that, and I agree with you on that, because what Diane's talking about is if you had this set, let's say, well, even a 2 is still, there we go, like that, for instance. This stop, if you engage it, would automatically kill your trade because of that stop being above. It should have, see, it just did. That's what she's talking about. Okay, but yeah, I'll have him look at that, see if that's something we can do. Okay, now we got out of a trade because of that, by showing that, and we would still be in the trade, obviously, right? High, low, higher, low, we expect a higher high. Okay, now if you jump in a trade like this, what I'd highly recommend doing would be let it consolidate a little bit. I'll turn off the trail stop. We don't need it now. And I'll show you a little trick that I like. When they're doing this, you got to be careful. But let's say, for instance, that you wanted to go ahead and get in this trade. Let's do a touch plus like 2 and see if we can get in it. And actually, you could even do it like this. See if I can get this before it fires. There we go. Now keep in mind that since I've already thrust, I'm not really waiting for a pullback, which I probably should. Okay. But you can take a trade like this if you want. See there? But you'd have to put your stop where? Well, you'd have to put it under here with probably exit on close. And keep in mind that at the open, you can break that rule of thumb of retraces a lot of times too, because they're running. Okay. Let's see, would you be out of a trade around 802? Let me look. 802. You mean here? Where this came down like that? Not normally, because with lightning, what I like to personally look for is a little bit more oomph than that. See where that bar went up and that bar went down? I don't trust that, because as a rule, it'll go ahead and take you out. And you need a little bit of retracement to be able to stay with the trade. For instance, like this right here, I would expect this to hold right here, but I would for sure expect that one to hold. See what I mean? High, low, much higher high. So if you're riding like a longer term trend or something like that, you can go ahead and trust some of these like this. This was also a high energy time here too. Now, let's say that you didn't get in a trade. See, we're red on this, so we did kind of chase a trade. I'm going to go ahead and close it. All right, let's see where we can get back in it. You want to? Let's go ahead and get rid of our region and see if we can get a nice little trade setting up. Look to the left to trade the right. You need a higher low than that right there. Needs to get a little closer to it. That's pretty close right there. We see that? Now it'll probably come down a little closer because a lot of times they'll come within like 2 ticks of these things. Your safest trade, see I'm still red right now, so your safest trade is a break above that little consolidation patch. That's what we teach all the time in our webinars. For instance, let's say you weren't in this. You just simply watch that right there, get ready to buy it. You don't have to box it in. You can just use these buttons here if you want. I'm pretty quick at something like that, so I'd probably get that. That's right up at that top. Hopefully it doesn't pull back down again, but it should go ahead and give me a break above it. We'll see. It did hold here. Got a higher low. I might have jumped the gun just a tad, but now we're good. And then what you do is you get your first target out of the way a little bit, move those second ones, get them in a row again, and I would be looking for a scalper right across there, actually right across there. See your thrust, retrace thrust? That's just noise. So right there, and then right here, and then I'd ride my runner. And then take your trade off with lightning, obviously, right? So let's watch lightning in real time and see if we can get out of this trade. Where's our lightning swing right now? What's right here? Well, I've got 5 on. That's probably quite a bit. I'd probably take a couple of them off with a close of a bar down. Say even take 3 off with the close of a bar. Whoops, we don't want to take 3 off now. We'll take 1 off. And that looks like it's topping out, doesn't it? So I'd be looking here for support. And we need to get a little lightning going again. We don't have lightning going. See, it's way down here. That always makes me nervous when they do that. But if they bounce and they give us a little lightning, then you can obviously put your stop. There we go. There's some lightning. It's trying to anyway. I would probably protect this trade somewhere in through here or even down a little bit lower, like say on top of this swing to the left, because this is lightning trying to form, but it doesn't form until it takes that out. Everybody see that? And it looks like it's going to. Not yet. A, B, might take that out a little bit. So to take this out, we'll go ahead. See, now this is an like a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So you could actually bring your stop just under this second one back, because if they take it out, you'd be done with the trade. Okay? Now, that's the way. Actually, we went over a little bit more boxing in on these, but we're going to go with mid-band trade and show you that again. Anytime you ratchet up, high, low, higher high, you're looking for this mid-band trade again. We're still in this trade, though. We're not stopped out yet. But if you get in the habit of using lightning for your stops, at least when it's identified, be careful until it's identified, though, because your identified swings all the way under here. Well, they just stopped us out, which was good, okay? Because that did identify low, lower high, lower low. See how it did? Now let's see if we can get back in the trade on diagnosing our chart. Let's look at our lightning real quick. and see if we can get a trade. We called this one, by the way, live in the room this morning. I'm almost positive. We were looking at right here. It's on top of that little swing area there. There's another swing here. And that's our mid-band. So I would be looking at a trade between those two lines. And you want to do the safe way, or you want to do just the bounce on bar? If you do the bounce on the bar, just always keep in mind you've got to look at where your swings are. High, low, higher, high. Your stop would almost have to be under here. Do a safe one? Okay. Because remember, I did this trade this morning, and I felt a little bit of heat on it. Okay, because it did bounce right here, and we jumped in it, and it went all the way down closer to here, if I remember right. It's fairly close anyway. Everybody remember that? But what do we expect on this chart if we're going to head up? I'm going to get rid of all the lines, and in real time, let's look at it. High, low, higher, high, ratchet it up. So I draw a line. I expect a higher low. Let's see, what are the implications of the background color if we are boxing in at the mid-band with no bias? Well, no bias, Dave, is more at those opens when the market is just opening up. We're not as biased, but you know, when you've got a true trend going, you're more biased. When I'm not biased as much and when Charles is not biased as much is when you don't really have clear blue sky on the left. Okay, you've got swings that you're trying to get to and you box in. Like no bias, to give an example. Now, you don't have to take a no bias trade because to me, for instance, this trade right here, I would not just box in, you know, let's say it was around mid-band. If this is here, I'm not going to box this in. You know, to me, this isn't a short trade by any means, and it wouldn't be to Charles either. Now, there's your trade, by the way. See, it's a higher low. But that would be the aggressive way. Let's do it the safe way. Got resistance right across here. I always look to the left, trade right. You also got it here. You could take a trade right above that line. See if we can get it. A lot of times third candle back also. I love it when it does this, by the way, where you get these three together like this, where you get like a down and up, maybe another down. You can really box it in pretty easily then. See if we can box it. I'd buy it within 2 ticks of the bottom and 2 ticks out of the top, because I don't expect it to take this out if it's going to continue heading back up. Now that to me is still safe. If you want more of the breakout trade, see how that came right down within 2 ticks of the bottom of that box? That's not a bad little trade. Now let's do it the real safe way and show you how to do it the safe way. In other words, we don't know if it's going to keep going down, right? So let's do it again. Would be the breakout. Clear blue sky, Ed, means that when you look at a retrace, there's literally, you know, to the left, you can just see that you've got plenty of room. See, like right now, we're sideways. You know, for instance, if this breaks here, I'm going to be drawing lines on my chart, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm looking at here. I'm looking at here. Well, we got that again. Sorry about that. We'll turn that one off. There we go. All right, I'm looking at a swing here. I'm looking at a swing here. I'm looking at a swing here. And I'm looking at a swing here. Also like to draw on my charts little trend lines. Looking at a trend line like that. Okay, so that would be my targets. If we are going for a breakout, you can't take this one because obviously that's not going to be a target. It's not 5 ticks. Okay, so we'll have to at least go to here. Now, where would our stop be on this trade if it triggers? Be under here. Notice I'm a little more aggressive on, like a bar close or something, but I also know where I expect the trade to change trends if it's going to. And we called this live in the room. We needed a higher low than before because what's the rule of thumb? A high, a low, higher low, higher high, right? And that's what you would expect. And I'm not quite as much into breakout trading like this as I am trying to grab it right where I want it, like at mid-band, to give an example. Because that gets your 5 ticks right away. But you also feel some heat sometimes. The way to do that one, of course, is to buy it down at mid-band with just one contract and buy a break when it breaks out the little swing. Touch plus 2, that's 1 tick above. 2 ticks will fire it. And a third will confirm the firing. So let's see. There's 1 tick. 2 ticks. Third tick should confirm. Is that 2 or did it not fire? You put my cursor on it and I'll find out. Nope, there it is. It's third one. See, so you got to get 2 ticks plus the third one. Now it fired. Now where I would put my stop right off the bat would be close below the swing. It happens to be there at 12 ticks. Okay. And Dave, on your question, or no, not your question, Ed's question on blue sky, what I'm talking about, when you got these monster moves, where you get a thrust, you got all that blue sky to the left. You see what I mean? But when you start going choppy sideways, you got to draw on your charts and see where they're going. And if they don't go ahead and go through them, you want to really get ready to protect your coin. Watch it in real time and see what it does. And we'll trade it with lightning. We'll get one of our targets out of the way. We'll get this one up here at the top. We'll get this one across here. And we'll do, well, we've already got one target, don't we? No, we haven't gotten a target yet. That's probably where I'd do my first one, because that is a swing, and that will be a scalp. But when you're going sideways like this, when you get these yellow bar probes, you're really looking to the left. When they hit these lefts and they pull back, back down through them, a lot of times you can take your money off because they're going to come deeper. That's another trade, okay? But as long as you have sideways action instead, you want to just look to the left to trade the right. Little line would go there, little line would go there. Okay, and remember we called this trade in the room this morning too. Matter of fact, you remember I got filled here on that bar, and I said that I was going to hold it unless it took out that line right there. Very simple. Did I feel a little bit of heat on it? Yes. Did I know it was going to hold this? No, nobody does. But it was definitely in an uptrend, and that was my higher low, so I expected a higher low again. Even 2 ticks or 3 ticks is still a higher low. You see what I mean? Look what this did. In real time, you had a low here, a high back over here, and a higher high here. So that established that low, right? To continue in an uptrend, what do we need? We need a higher low. That's why we called that trade, boxed it in, and also I took it here. And remember, I even said if you boxed it in, you could even add one. So I basically got a little bit better than where I got my original fill. Okay? And I also took mine because it touched the ellipse. And sometimes if you don't go ahead and jump in them, you almost have to, because where would you box this trade in? There's not really a box unless you look at a 1, 2, 3. Look at it in real time. This didn't do an ABC. See there? But you've got a candle, candle, candle. This is your third candle back. Take the trade. Put your stop underneath the swing. And sometimes they'll go ahead and do their little ABCs, and sometimes they won't. Okay? Let's go back over here where we're at. See, we're still good on this trade. I want to show you the power of a trend line too, because trend lines can change your way of trading if you just draw them on your charts. And these predictors will also change your way of trading too. And double tops, you know, just always watch them. See where the predictor's saying that we're going to hit our head? Right up here. Well, let's see if we do. We've got a line drawn right there. But see how mid-band trading can change your trading forever? And do you realize that we've been in here an hour just talking about mid-band trades? So I guess we'll have to continue this on another day with the phantom trades. Let's see. Does Charles ever call out trades on bar closes like you do? I've never heard. Well, Greg, on what Charles as a rule does, you know, Charles is the king of boxing. You know, kind of like the Muhammad Ali of trading. You know, he's a little bit more into the little boxes. Now, I'm not as much into no bias when I clearly see a swing that tells me that I've got an uptrend going, because you can get faked into those. Now, he doesn't either, except probably it opens, you know, occasionally, because, you know, they can be literally going the other direction really easily. David, yeah, I can help you after the webinar. Be sure and get TeamViewer. Go to vipertradingsystems.com and get our TeamViewer 9 unless you, if you don't have it. Okay, what does everybody think? Does this make sense at trading and doing some pretty good trades? And you notice that even on that trade I took off that ellipse this morning, I really didn't feel the full stop to begin with, you know, because in real time, I said I needed a higher low if we were going to head up. And what did we get? Well, if I remember right, this is getting really close to inventory. Let's just see what it did. I kicked it up to about 100 times. Pretty much a double top so far, isn't it? Double top and right up there at 43.10, 43.14, and this was actually closer to inventory. Remember, I got out of this trade too quite a bit earlier than this, and this is where the inventory happened. Of course, I'm going like 200 times speed, so obviously not going to catch that. Okay, but where's another trade on this chart, even after all inventory? Isn't that it, right at the ellipse? Doesn't this just give you a marvelous way to trade this? Everybody remember that? Came right to the ellipse and we called that trade. Everybody remembers it? And where would your stop be? Well, your stop would be under here if you were using lightning, wouldn't it? And we also called this trade, be careful, because it hit a predictor. Okay, now let me ask you a quick question. We're going to wrap this in just a second. Looking at this chart right this very moment, where is the difference in going up or down on this chart? Let's put it in real time and fast. Okay, you barely took out this low right here. That's still an uptrend so far, but they're trying their dead level best to take it out, aren't they? So could you as a trader pretty much put in a sell? Remember that trade that we talked about right about this time? This little trade actually, when you took out this support right here, does anybody remember it? Watch it. Not taking it out yet. There, it's taking it out. Look at that. It dropped like a stone, didn't it? And look what it did the rest of the day. I'll leave it on 500 just so you can see it. That's the trade we're going to talk about next. We'll talk about it next week. Now, real quick, is this an uptrend yet? No, because remember, we even talked about this. We had a huge thrust down. That was a 50% retracement. Now, could you have taken a long trade? Absolutely. We called the trade. We boxed this in right here, and we got that trade. But I also said it hit 50%. We had it drawn at 38 and 50. And what did this trade do the rest of the day? Does anybody remember? Look at that. But there's trade after trade on this chart. Ellipse, predictor, predictor trade. If they don't take out the low, you got to be careful with the next one, okay? Phantom trade. Predictor trade. See there? 10 ticker trade at least. Let's see if we can get another predictor trade. There's a predictor trade. See there? See if we can get another one. This is still only 11 o'clock in the morning. Let's see if it does. Barely took out the low right there, so let's see if we get another predictor trade. There's a predictor trade setting up. There you go, heading down. See, that was a safer way to trade it too. But anytime they break down, you always got to put your stop above the swing. Let's see if we get another predictor trade. You could even put it like that if you wanted to, or like that now. See there, it's breaking. And just watch for these predictor trades. This thing just kept dropping all afternoon if anybody traded that. Anybody trade it this afternoon? Look at how many kiss trades happened after that, by the way. Anytime you start getting a nice stair-stepping down instead of the sideways motion, watch where these kiss trades happen. See that trade? Thrust down, retraced into the line. Thrust down, retraces into the line. Thrust down, retraces into the line a little bit higher, not much. Thrust down, goes into the line, draw your box again. I mean, over and over and over you can see kiss trades, right? And we draw these in the room all the time. Let's say, for instance, that you were getting in this thing late. This is almost the end of the day. But if you got in this trade, like breaking this little swing here, your stop would just simply be above there. Okay? And I think that's all the data I've got because I didn't run it past, this was about 2:30 in the afternoon. Okay? The ABC always counts, Pervez, from where you get your retracement from. Okay, for instance, like, now keep in mind that when it's stair-stepping down in a beautiful way like this, this is when you want those kiss trades. If you draw on your chart, you're going to see these kiss trades all over the place. Everybody see that? What does it do? Let's just go, well, even here, see this one? These are kiss trades. Let's say you broke that. They come back, they kiss it, they roll over. Come back, kiss right there, they roll over. Come back, kiss right there, they roll over. Come back and kiss right there, they roll over. See? And if I had more data, I think it went down even a little bit further than that. Okay? Those shallow kiss trades like that, Doug, if they have the stair-stepping action that you don't see anything as far as real estate to the left, see there's no real estate to the left, then those kiss trades, those minor ones are just beautiful trades. You know, I mean, this was like an hour. You know, this is from, well, more than an hour. It's almost 3 hours. But when it breaks down, it comes back and kisses. When it breaks down, it comes back and kisses. When they stair step like this, they do a beautiful job of this. See, this trade even here, you know, let's say that you were watching this and they broke this swing right here. All right, let's say you got in here even and put your stop above here. Like that. They break down. What are they going to do? They come back and they kiss really close. See that little swing right there that they took out? They always break and consolidate a little bit. Now, if they break really hard, then you got to wait for them to do their little thing. And of course, this would be your kiss trade here. They break down. Okay, you got to put your stop like above here. See, they never took you out. If you got in on that trade, they never took you out of that trade. And just remember, if they don't kiss, they can't take out the swing because they have to do the lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and all that. They have to until they change directions. Do you just hit bar close short when it kisses the line? You can. Yeah, you absolutely can. Now, your safest trade, obviously, are these predictors. But these predictors are going to be more accurate when it's kind of chopping around a little bit more. When they're dropping like a stone like that, then you're going to just simply put a sell in, put a sell in, put a sell in, put a sell in. And we can even talk about some of these. When you see it breaking and you want to go ahead and get in to these little KISS trades, you can take 5, 6 ticks with multiple contracts and then jump back in again when it does it again. You'll finally lose one because when they break micro swings, they always go back up and check your medium swings. But as long as they're respecting these micros, KISS trade all day long. All right. Well, we ran 10 minutes over. I apologize for that. Thanks everyone for coming, and we'll go ahead and talk about phantom trades next week and boxing in conservatively. But just keep in mind, these trades are called, obviously these aren't in the afternoon, but these trades were called live in the room this morning. Okay, we literally got these little trades right here. Okay, and we do it with our indicators. They're powerful. You know, without them on the chart, it'd be harder to see the trade. All right, thanks again everyone for coming, and I'll have this posted on the website very shortly. Good night. TeamViewer, David, on your question, go to vipertradingsystems.com to the contact link and then download the TeamViewer. And then you want to just Skype me or you want to call? Because I'll be right by the phone if you want to call, or we can Skype. Yeah, we can Skype. So go ahead and get the TeamViewer, and I'll get this webinar starting to convert and get ready to put on the website, and we'll see everybody in the morning. Thanks again. Yeah, I know you're in Australia, so what time of night is it there? Or day, I mean? But we can still Skype. Yeah, morning 11 a.m. Okay. It's 8:12 p.m. here. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.